That's good.
Trying to stay healthy, trying to stay.
Don't try, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you left religious practices early, and at the, I know, but at the end, I said, okay, May 6th, I'm doing an oneg for my 75th birthday,
Oh, that's nice.
which is the next day. And tonight is my sister. They're going to say my sister's name, so I'm going to do an Aliyah. But her, her site is actually Wednesday. And last year, my birthday, because we shared a birthday, my birthday was horrible. So this year, I said, I had been thinking of doing this when I was 73. I said, I think I'll do something in the town. But because of COVID and my relatives, most of them are back east, and even Jesse is up north now, I said, you know what? If I do this Friday night after the service, at least my birthday, I'll wake up the next day feeling good.
Yes, you're going to do it May 6th?
May 6th. That
That's
Friday
great.
night is on the calendar.
Yeah.
And I said, please come.
Good.
I hope when people see my name, they don't say, oh.
No. Did you make that in Diana's?
Yes. And it happens to go with the color
it's
of
fun.
this. I have
She's
two
so
more.
creative.
I have two more. I have a velvet headband that has a bow and a purple flower, but I didn't think it would go with the outfit. So
No, that's
I don't know. That's
yeah, she's very creative.
And it was, they're really easy to make.
But I mean, she comes up with cheap stuff, She has to make money for us, like on a shoestring budget, She put things together.
Well, when you have 8 kids, you have to find
I
ways
guess,
of being creative.
I guess you'll learn how to do it. You're right. You're right. I hadn't thought of it that way. She had to learn.
Yeah.
I look snappy? Oh, good.
I was glad to see, it's good to see Tova and Susie Shine here.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, her foot's still broken.
Oh, man. What time? Oh, it's only 13. Okay, good. I better put this down. It's getting, I turned it on, but I didn't put it down.
Well, I purposely didn't wear a jacket. I figured I had my towel up.
Yeah, but it's hot up here. It's not. Because it gets hot up here with all the lights,
Well, now, I don't know if they changed those to LED.
Trust me.
LED should
Trust me, it gets hot up here.
I've been here before.
Yeah. Here, they're not all LED. They can't be because it gets hot up here.
Oh, I feel it now.
That just went on. It won't get real cold. Don't worry.
bottom.
And wasn't it like on the first row?
Might be on the second. Yeah.
She finally found it, right?
It was lit last week.
That's why I said to the other side.
Oh,
I wanted her to see where we're supposed to come that week. That's all. I had something going on. That was birthday week. The birthday of the yard said that I ended up with the going on the road. And her last brother, down at her new school, he's the only two of us. Her. She had her hand in the door, she was out to get weak, and then my grandson took the floor by accident. My daughter was and then his face was like, thought I was going to yell at him. It was a twist. Oh, it is?
no, I'm doing it. But I'm also hoping.
Hi. Oh, look who's here. They're probably among the. Hey. No, but I like myself. My name is Calvin. Rabbi.
Oh, really?
Nice.
You look so sunny. I know it really. I'm going back.
Hello.
I'm good. How about yourself?
Very well. Howdy.
Name tag, that's okay.
Oh, shame on you. You're not official.
I know. It's nice and cool now.
Hi.
The,
Decent. David's not coming. Dee's coming because she wanted to be here for. No, Dee, she can come.
Here.
I know. She can just be here. I mean,
Let's see what we can give you. Page. How about this?
This whole thing right here? Oh, and I read we offer things?
No, either the
Okay.
top or the bottom.
I could do,
Do the top.
yeah, the top.
Okay. Hold on. Top. Tova. Line.
Oh, please spell my last name.
Shlian.
First person who got it right. Nice.
Okay. Page 127. It'll be right after the candle lighting.
Are you gonna like
I'll announce it, but be ready because it's very
121? Do I bring my consider
127.
with me, or
Yeah.
do I use this one?
No, you go down there and you have to have your own sitter.
Okay, so 127. Got it.
No, I haven't put it on yet. What time is it? Oh, well, I'll put it on. Okay, are you ready? This doesn't work that great. Yeah, it doesn't stay in position that well.
You put two of them on.
I try to do different things, but it's not great.
Well, I'll see if I can find something different.
Something like a powder that I or something.
Huh.
Elaine. Shabbat Shalom. Hi.
How you doing?
It's in Mexico.
Oh, we did that last Friday. The day trip.
Oh, I went to Mazatlan. So I used the plane.
Oh,
We went to Puerto Peñasco.
no, we went to San Luis.
You'll have to show me a map where that is.
You have to slow on that.
Uh,
How is Sunday the 3rd for
Send me an email.
dinner?
Yeah, just send me a short email saying, that same thread, Thursday's not good, how about Sunday? And then I'll answer.
And how about, he didn't answer when I asked if he had any food out. So anything's good.
Anything good, I don't eat pork if I can see it.
I won't make,
If it's in the egg roll real small,
I'm not making any. No, I'll try to do something different.
but other than that, I'm pretty good to go. Warren, are you okay? D. Just barely, it looks like.
Yeah. Oh, I got this. I got to have big surgery.
Wow.
I have to have a spine fusion. He's going to do. It's 2 surgery. He's going to go in and fuse. My whole cervical is completely reversed, but he's not going to do the whole fusion. I couldn't get through that. So he's L3, 4, 5. He's going to glue it, and then he's going to put more hardware in me, titanium spacers.
Wow.
They go robotically and they expand to give me some space because I have.
Okay, so Nan,
Sit next to Nan.
you two are going to open and close the arch. Where's the canner? I do want to sing, but I've been told that I shouldn't sing.
I'll reserve my
It doesn't sound like a big endorsement. And then after the canner, you're up.
I didn't hear you guys.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Nan Rubin, and I am a trustee of Temple Beth Shalom. And I would like to welcome everyone that's here in celebration and honoring Ray Bolnick on her 102nd birthday. And I hope that all of you that are watching the services on YouTube can feel the love and the wonderful. There's a great attendance here tonight, and I hope it permeates through the computer screen to everyone that's at home. We do have some guests tonight. Deborah and Ralph Garamado, could you raise your hands, please? Welcome. The Gilman family, thank you, welcome. And Chris and Mitch Bolnick and Ira Bolnick, family of our honoree Ray. I will be back at the end with some announcements, but until then, enjoy the service and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Nan, I understand you're celebrating your birthday in the near future?
Yes,
And when is that?
May 7th, but on the 6th, there's going to be an oneg here. It's going to be my 75th birthday, so everyone is invited to come back and have a birthday.
The membership committee has been trying to recruit new members, and they've been promising that everyone will not only have as long a life as Ray, but as productive a life as Ray. And that worked really well until they found out how much time she spends on Torah study, and not everybody wanted to commit to that level of study and intellectualism. But we're still hoping to use Ray as really a model for what we can all aspire to. This is a woman 102 years old. She can quote, she knows the difference between the Samaritans and the Karaites, and she can make all sorts of profound interpretations in our weekly Torah study group. And she's going to lead a couple of the prayers tonight in honor of her 102nd birthday. So Nan, you have another 27 years to reach Ray's level, and I have another like I can't even count, but I'm going to work on it. And we congratulate you, Ray, and your family that's here with you, and all of your extended family that is spread throughout the internet around the world. We begin tonight's service with a rousing welcome of Shabbat on page 142, the Shalom Aleichem. Please rise.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Mi-Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We also want to extend a very special and warm welcome to Jonathan's family that are in from Indianapolis. Has anyone heard of that city? And so it's somewhere up there. And in a few weeks, we're all going to be jealous of their cool weather as it hits 114 degrees, 116 degrees here. But have a great time visiting your father, father-in-law, and grandfather over the next little while. We now turn to the candle lighting on page 120. It's my honor to ask Ray to come forward to bless the candles, page 120.
Can you hear me? All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu lahadli ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Page 127, we have Tova Schlein. Did I say your last name right? Very good. And here's the microphone, page 127.
There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat we seek not to acquire but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the right of others. On Shabbat we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
And let us all say, Amen. Thank you, Tova. And hello to Susie, her mother, wave, and Shabbat Shalom, Susie. I'd like to now call forward the chair of our security committee, Denny Cutler, to talk a little bit about the security committee. As you're all aware, security ever since Colleyville, Texas, and also before, has become very important and central part of any synagogue and any institution. And Denny and his entire committee have been working very hard to keep us safe. Denny, over to you.
Thanks, Rabbi. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Denny Cutler. I'm Vice President here of Temple Beth Shalom. As the Marine Corps ads say, we're looking for a few good men and women. So are we for the safety and security team. Our team serves, recommends, and coordinates with our Temple Board of Directors safety procedures and training for our membership and staff. Our safety and security team is the primary contact with with local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies with respect to potential security concerns. If you have any questions or interest in joining our team, please contact me. Shabbat Shalom.
They just had a very productive meeting on Thursday. And of course, you know Joe, who's outside at all of our services. There's also many other security issues, not only related to terrorism, but also to fire and medical emergencies, pretty much any situation where someone may need help. And so the Security Committee is that committee. We're going to ask you at the Oneg. Denny, we're not going to let anyone eat Jonathan's delicious cakes until we get 5 volunteers or 6 volunteers or 10 volunteers. Oh, it's too draconian, he says, but anyone who's interested, really go and talk to him. I'd like to now do a blessing for those under age 13. And so I think they're located mostly in one particular part of the temple. So rather, as they say, what is the expression about if the mountain won't come to you, you go to the mountain. So, and your names are? Max? Leo. Leo looks very comfortable. And he's reading during, I hope he's not going to read during my sermon. So it's okay if I give them a blessing on this Shabbat. Max, it's okay? Yes. Okay? Yes, your father's saying yes? Shake your head. Ah, very good. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless both of you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you have peace, happiness, and all the best toys. Is that good? Okay. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. We continue now with the L'Chabadi, page 138.
L'Chadoti likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat l'kabela. L'Chadoti likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat l'kabela. L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat l'kabela. L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat l'kabela. Shamor v'zachor v'devur echad, yishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'lithilah. L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat l'kabela. L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat l'kabela. Boi v'shalom terefala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzala. Tok emunei am segula. Boi kala, boi kala. L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat l'kabela. L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat l'kabela.
I'd like to now call on Fern Bencover to read 2 of the prettier poems and creative readings that come from Israel. You can find the first one on page 651, written by the Israeli poet Nomi Shemer. Page 651, 652, and 653.
My good God, Keep these safe, the honey and sting, the bitter and the sweet, and our baby daughter, the burning flame, the pure water, and the man returning home from afar. Keep all these safe, my good God, the honey and the sting, the bitter and the sweet. Do not uproot what has been planted. Do not forget the hope. Return me, and I will return to the good land. My God, keep this house, this garden, and this wall from sorrow, from unexpected fear, and from war. Keep safe what little I have, the light and the children, and the ripened fruit that has yet to be picked. A tree rustles in the wind, a star cascades in the distance, and now my heart's desires are recorded in the darkness. Please keep all of these safe for me. Keep safe the ones I love, the quiet, the crying, and this very song. Next year, we will sit on the porch and count migrating birds. Children on vacation will play catch between the house and the fields. You will yet see how good it will be next year. Red grapes will ripen till the evening and will be served chilled to the table. And lazy winds will carry to the crossroads old newspapers like a cloud. Next year, we will spread our own hands toward the radiant light. A white heron will spread her rings in the light as the sun shines through them. My beloved is mine, and I am my beloved's, a shepherd among the lilies. Who is this that comes up from the desert, fragrant with myrrh and frankincense? You have captured my heart, my sister, my bride. Awake, O north wind. Come, O south wind. You want the bottom part too?
Up to you, Fern.
Okay. O God, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, and the prayer of the heart.
And let us say, this was a very interesting collection, ranging from Naomi Shemer, who wrote one of these poems in the aftermath of the Six-Day War, to a poem that was written in the 1950s in Israel, and then, of course, the Song of Songs, Shir Shirim, what was written roughly 2,500 years ago. It's really an honor to be here tonight with Ray Bolnick, and we remember her bat mitzvah that was held just a short while ago. And for those of you who don't remember, her bat mitzvah was scheduled 1 or 2 weeks after COVID hit, and we had all sorts of discussions about what to do. Originally, she had 76 family members scheduled to fly in. 76 was it? From around, from all over the country. And it was scaled down, and then we decided to postpone it, and then did it a number of months later on Zoom with just one of her sons and daughter-in-laws present, just a family of 3 instead of a family of almost 80. But that didn't diminish her status as of the matriarch of this wonderful and large family. And she was able to do an adult bat mitzvah and to read from the Torah and the Haftorah and many of the prayers, and to deliver a wonderful sermon really based on extensive study and knowledge. Those who attend the Torah study on Wednesday over Zoom know that she's really one of the more educated and erudite members of that group, and that group has some pretty educated and erudite people. This is very appropriate that we're celebrating Ray today because the March 18th, which was about a week ago, was the 100th anniversary of the first bat mitzvah. And so, how many women here had a bat mitzvah when they were 13 or when they were young? 1, 2. That's it. And how many? 3, 4. Oh, how many? Again, how many had a bat mitzvah when they were 13-ish? 1, 2, 3. Okay, still not too many. How many women did not have a bat mitzvah when they were younger? Raise your hands. How many women had a bat mitzvah when they were older as an adult? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, at least 9. You're not supposed to count in Judaism like I just did. You're supposed to go Ashrei, Yoshe, Beitecha, Od. But then I still don't know how many I counted, so it doesn't help me. But maybe if I was younger, I could do that mathematical manipulation. And how many of those 9 women did that here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many did it in Indianapolis? 1. Okay, we have a strong Indianapolis connection, at least on this side of the sanctuary. And how many did it in other congregations somewhere else, which was where, Diane? California. Okay, and where, Benita? Chicago. And anyone else? Now we're yes, Fern?
Evanston, Illinois.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Yes?
Jersey City, New Jersey.
Oh, are you from Jersey City?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, that's Maryland. So if you don't know Maryland, wave to everybody. And one of my good friends lives in Jersey City, Lonnie Sobel. So the bat mitzvah 100 years ago came about with Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan. He's a very famous American rabbi, maybe the most famous, along with Abraham Joshua Heschel. Those probably the 2 names that are most familiar to people. And Mordechai Kaplan started out as an Orthodox rabbi and became the founder of the Reconstructionist movement. In one sentence, Reconstructionism tends to be more traditional than Reform in practice, but more radical in thinking. So it's a little to the right and to the left of us simultaneously. It was the night before, and he said to his daughter Judith, "We're going to bat mitzvah you tomorrow." And so he called her into his study at the temple or at the synagogue after services, and he said, "Let's practice the brachot for the Haftorah." And she read the brachot. She was the daughter of a rabbi, and she was later to marry another important Reconstructionist rabbi, Ira Eisenstein, so she knew her stuff. And of course, in those days, women could not become rabbis. And there had been in the Reform movement a number of efforts to ordain women going back to the 1920s or even earlier. And one of the professors of Talmud at Cincinnati campus of Hebrew Union College, she did the entire rabbinic program. But when it came time to be ordained, her father said, "Let's ordain her." And the majority of the faculty said no. And they said, no, she's a woman, she should become an educator and marry a rabbi. But of course, it was different times, and that was the structure of society. So I'm not a believer in looking backwards and condemning what people did in previous generations because they didn't do things the way that we would do them today because they didn't have those set of ideas. But in any case, Judith became a bat mitzvah. She didn't do very much. She did not read from the Torah. She did not participate in the minyan. She did a lot less than Ray, but it was considered the first official bat mitzvah. And it didn't really catch on. Like many things that are done of that sort, you had a few more outliers and a few other experimenters, but you didn't have a whole group of girls becoming bat mitzvah until after World War II, 25 or 30 years after Judith became the first bat mitzvah. And then lots of people, Reform and conservative Jews, started moving to the suburbs. And there they wanted something that would be more egalitarian and would be a celebration. And Reform, of course, had emphasized confirmation, which was a group ceremony at age 15 or 16, and something that we're very much hoping to establish in our congregation, if at all possible. And but people wanted also bar and bat mitzvah. But since Reform Judaism never had bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, when the idea started catching on, it really wasn't seen as something you would just do for boys. If boys are going to have bar mitzvahs for the first time in a Reformed temple, then girls would obviously have a bat mitzvah, because the confirmation had always been boys and girls anyway. So that's when Reform temples started doing lots and lots of bar and bat mitzvahs, and girls were then treated equally. And that was in the 1950s and 60s, and then, as we know, the first woman rabbi, Rabbi Sally Presand, was ordained in 1972, and that was not a foregone conclusion. She studied without any guarantee of what would happen. You remember I said that another woman had studied in the 1920s, did the whole curriculum, and then they refused to ordain her. And see, in Reform Judaism, ordination is sort of its own thing, aside from graduating. And so, like, for example, when I graduated from Hebrew Union College in Jerusalem in June of 1994, I went off to take a congregation, and they said, you must come back in October for ordination. I said, I don't want to. And they said, if you don't come back, we're not ordaining you. We don't ordain by mail. So I said, but I did all the many years of study here. They said, no, ordination is a physical act where the president of Hebrew Union College places his hands on you and ordains you in front of the community. And this is not something that can be done from abroad. And of course, they didn't have Zoom then, and they didn't have pandemics, and so it was a very different world. I'm sure today I could say, I'm not getting on a plane, and you're going to have to do it via Zoom, and they might have said yes. But for women, Sally Presand's ordination led to many more women rabbis. The majority of women of rabbis being ordained today are women, and so it's been a revolution. It's changed the nature of the rabbinate, and of course now kids of boys and girls understand and assume that girls are going to be treated completely equally ritually, in terms of bat mitzvah, in terms of opportunities for ritual engagement, in terms of the ability to become rabbis and cantors, and pretty much everything in our religion. We're going to now begin the Mariv service, the evening service, beginning with the Reader's Kaddish on page 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה יעמד ברכירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכם וביומכם וחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו יש שמי רבה מבורך, לעולמו מעמיה יתברך וישתבח, ופר תרומה ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשיה ברכו. אלא מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם בעלמה, אמרו.
Please rise for the Baruch Hu on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, Amuborah. Baruch Adonai, Amuborah, Amuborah, Le'olam va'ed. Amuborah, Amuborah, Le'olam va'ed.
Page 147, we join together at the bottom of the page. O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. Oh, let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. We continue with the Declaration of Faith on page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malachuto Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
We join together in the English. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. And in a slightly lower voice, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Please be seated. I'd like to now ask our president, Faye Henning-Bryan, to come forward to read Everlasting Love on page 150 in memory of her grandmother, Edith Henning. Page 150.
Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws, and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Amen. May your grandmother's memory always be for a blessing, Faith. We'd like to now call up Ray to read the Vahavta, which you can find on page 154, first in Hebrew and then in English.
Ahavta Olam. Beis Yisrael Amcha Ohavta, Torah umitzot, Chukim umitzpatim, Otanu limato, al kain Adonai Eloheinu, v'shachtenu uvkumenu, nasiach v'chakecha, v'nismach v'dvrei Torato, uvmitzotecha leolam va'ed, ki hein hayenu v'orech yomenu, uvahem nege yolam v'layla, v'ahavta, al tasir mimanu leolamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Amen.
Did you want me to repeat it in English, Rabbi?
Faye already read the page 150 in English, but if you wanted to do the Vahafta on 154, then that would be good.
Thank you.
Okay, we join together in the Vahafta, page 154 in Hebrew, and then in the Debbie Friedman, Thou Shalt Love in English. Hafta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher nochi tzavcha hayam alovecha v'shinamtam levanecha v'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשבתך ובקומך ושרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטודפו בין עיניך וכתבתם על ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in thy heart, shall be in thy heart. Thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou risest up, and when thou liest down, and when thou liest down. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that ye may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
Page 156, toward the bottom of the page, we join together. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior, who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You perform miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyfully.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ami kamo kaba ali madama. Ami kamo ka nahi dava koda. No rate hilo o se fella. No rate hilo o se fella. Malakut karo v'necha. Okay, I am לפני משה מרים. זה אלי אנו ואמרו. זה אלי אנו ואמרו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. כמו באבים אדוני. כמו בלילה בגורן, נורא תהילו עושה פלא, נורא תהילו עושה פלא. יא לה 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 לה, יא לה לה לה, יא לה 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 לה לה, יא לה 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 לה. ונאמר תפארת אדוני את יעקב וגלום יד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
The cantor this week said to me, we need to do Vishamru this week, which is one of the Shabbat songs that you can find on page 162. So I said, fine, and so it's here. Before we sing it, I'd like us to read the English. It is, of course, about the idea that the children of Israel should keep the Shabbat over the course of every generation as part of our covenant with God. And let us read that now in English, page 162 at the top. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'olam. B'ni uben b'nei Yisrael Ohi le'olam, Ohi le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'olam. U'b'yom ha-shvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat L'Dor Olam Yishamru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat L'asot Et HaShabbat L'Dor Olam.
Very nice. Now, you'll note on page 162, there's two Shabbat songs. There's the V'shamru at the top and Yismachu at the bottom. So we'll do V'yismachu at some point in the future, Canner?
Great.
Okay. You let me know. Meanwhile, we rise for the tefillah, the central prayer of the evening, beginning on page 164.
Adonai, Sivitai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Haya Hagadol Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, B'kunei Hakol, B'zocher Chasdei Avot, B'imahot. ומביא גאולה לבניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מכפר חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברגבים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשמי יחד, מכמו גבורות ומדם מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
We continue reading on page 171 at the top. We join together. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and acclaim in wonder. How filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el. We continue praying silently, standing or seated.
Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma u'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma u'yaseh shalom aleinu V'amo Yisrael v'yimaru Amen. Oh, say Shalom Yiroma, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, V'amo Yisrael v'yimaru Amen.
Please be seated. We turn now to the Mishaberach on page 371. I'd like to pray for Barry Maltash, who had hip surgery, and Andrea Alpert, who had colon surgery, and all of the people we prayed for last week who are still recovering, and everybody who is in our congregation and our community who are suffering from various conditions and diseases, and may we all be able to have the strength, emotional strength as well as the physical strength to keep going and to hopefully surmount the challenges that we face. Page 371, as each of us prays for all of those that we know and love who are in need of healing.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor Abracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Shebeirach imotenu mekor abracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Shabbat Shalom. We're in the midst of the book of Leviticus, which has a lot of information about the sacrifices. And in just a minute, I'll read a short excerpt from the beginning of the portion of Parshat Shmini, which indeed talks about one of the sacrifices. However, there's also a lot of other fascinating information scattered throughout this parsha and throughout many of the parshiot in the book of Leviticus. And just to pick out one, in chapter 11, verse 36, it says the following: Only a gathering of water, be it a pit or a spring, will remain ritually pure, even if it comes in contact with impurity and has the power to purify others. However, if a person touches the carcass of a dead animal while he is in one of these purifying waters, he will still remain ritually impure. So, on one level, it seems to be talking about ritual purity and impurity, something that is pretty technical. But you can see here, it's talking about Ma'im Chayim, running water. And I met with a family yesterday where they're planning now a conversion for the 3 children. And this was discussed a few months ago at our Religious Practices Committee, which is one of our larger and more vigorous committees, and the meetings are always fascinating. And we talked for quite a while about how we would implement the conversion of children in the context of our congregation right here. And specifically the inavailability of the ocean. When I was in Alabama, we would drive down to the ocean, and I would go in the water with the person converting so that they didn't get washed out into the ocean and disappear. but it was easy to find Mayim Chaim, running water. And you can see here how important that is in Judaism in terms of not only what is ritually pure and impure, which are categories which were really important in Leviticus, but much less important to us, but also for other reasons. The mystics spoke about waters in a spring never becoming impure, because they are connected to their source. The river is connected to the place where the waters come to, and it's constantly flowing. And they extrapolated from this that it's important for us to be in touch, not just occasionally, but constantly and intensely with our own souls. In Jewish mysticism, of course, we believe, and Jewish mystics believe, that every person is born with a soul. And the soul has different names, there's different aspects of the soul, nefesh and shekhinah, ruach, and so forth. But these parts of the soul come directly from God, and so then when we pass away, they go back to God and are repurified and reunite with God. But while we have them in us, that is the part of us that is truly a part of God. And this idea, just like the river connecting to the source of the river and having constantly flowing Mayim Chaim, so too do we want to constantly be connected to our soul, and through the soul to connect to God, God's energy, God's love, and to be able to really constantly renew ourselves spiritually through this connection to God. We're going to now turn to the Torah reading, which you can find beginning on page 362. I'm going to ask Nan and Dee to open the ark once again, and Lee to carry the Torah around. Please rise as we begin the Torah service.
One sec. Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kama'asecha. Malachutecha, malachut kol amim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam vo'ed. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'davar Adonai merushalayim. Baruch shenata Torah, Torah, Baruch shenata Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael be'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai HaGedula, HaGedula, HaTiferet, HaNetzach, HaHod. Ki ho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, ki ho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai HaMelacha, ve'amid na'aseh lechol rosh. Ki ho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, Ko b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, lecha Adonai ha'malacha, ve'amid na'aseh lechol rosh. Al shlosha devarim, על שלושה דברים, עולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, עולם עומד. על התורה והעבודה, על גמלים חסדים, על התורה והעבודה, על גמלים חסדים. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. לא ייסגור אל גוהרת, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. 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 רוממו אדוני אלוהינו ושמענו בחרול ושור. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו ושמענו בחרול ושור. כי קדש אדוני אלוהינו מלכו. כי קדש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו.
I'd like to now call up for the Torah blessing Nan Ruman in honor of the first yard site of her sister Phyllis Bluming and in memory of her sister. We're going to read from Parshat Shmini, which is, if you wanted to follow, it would be in the 9th chapter of the book of Leviticus.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So, to give a little bit of background, they had an inauguration to begin the process of worship in the tabernacle. And so the parsha's name is Shmini, which means in English the 8th day. And so this is the 8th day after the inauguration ceremony. It's also in Judaism what is usually done on the 8th day.
Circumcision.
Correct. Vayhi b'yom hashmini. And it came to pass on the 8th day, Kara Moshe la'Aaron, that Moses called out to Aaron, Ulabanav, and to Aaron's sons. Remember that the kuhuna, the priesthood, was designated to be Aaron and his sons. Uleleziknei Israel, and to the old people of Israel, literally, the wise men of Israel, perhaps in a gendered translation of a bygone era. Vayomer el Aharon, and Moses then said to Aaron, Kach lecha, take for yourself, Egel ben Bakar, a calf, a young cow, lechatat, for a sacrifice, the chatat sacrifice. The word chet means sin or wrongdoing. And so this is a sacrifice to hopefully atone for bad things that the person or people had done. Va'ayil la'olah, and offer it as an offering, hamimum v'akarav lifnei Adonai, before God, v'el b'nei Yisrael tidaber lemor, and speak to the children of Israel, saying, Kuhutz ir izim lechatat, take a young animal for a chatat offering, the egel v'keves, and other animals, an egel and a keves, b'nei shamat mimim, that are 1 year old and are pure. Presumably this means that once you actually slaughter them, that, at least in the Talmud, it says that their lungs and other internal organs have to be smooth and not to have any major blemishes. Le'olav shor va'ayel l'shlamim l'zvach lifnei Adonai, and offer these and other animals before God.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
May I wish you long life in the occasion of this yahrzeit.
Thank you.
Please rise as we raise the Torah to return it to the ark.
וזו התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל פי אדוני מיד משה. יהללו את שם אדוני כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו על ארץ ושמיים וירם וירם קרן לעמו, תהילה, תהילה, נוחו יסידיו, לבני ישראל, עם קרבו. הללויה, 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 הללויה. לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ויוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כי אויב הארצות, ולא שמנו כי משפחות האדמה, שלא שם מלכנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד Ushemo Echad. And on that day, Adonai will be one. And on that day, God's name will be one.
Please remain standing as we prepare for the mourner's Kaddish on page 598. We mourn the recent deaths of Hyman Siegel, Claire Abrams, our Rebbitzin Emeritus, Ilva Bergman, the mother of Pam Katz, and Linda Hochman. And we remember Phyllis Bluming, the sister of Nan Rubin, Gertrude Dornbush, the mother of Stephen, Dr. Jacob G. Goldberg, the grandfather of Baruch Kartan Arkanter, who was a dentist, like my father. and also Gilbert Cortan, the cantor's father, who passed away about
22 years ago, 24 years ago.
So may the memories of both your father and grandfather be always for a blessing.
Thank you.
We also remember Edith Henning, the grandmother of our president, Faye Henning Bryant, who's done such a wonderful job, and we remember her grandmother with love and fondness. Maurice D. Levinson, the father of Jan Stein. Gersten Rockoff, the brother-in-law of Joanne Rockoff, and Helen Wise, the mother of Eleanor Berman. We also remember all of our legacy members of a previous generation whose yard site lights are lit on our memorial board. And all of those who...
Can we do Rhoda, or is it too soon?
Oh, and Rhoda Edwards, who passed away just a couple days ago, and her funeral is going to be this coming Tuesday. I'm sure you've all heard the sad news. And Rhoda was a central and tremendously charismatic member of our congregation for a very long time. She just started coming back to services. I think she was here 2 weeks ago, and she was dressed really nicely, and she had a big smile, and she looked great. I think she was over 90 years old, but 94, but she really almost could pass for in her 50s. Not as youthful looking as Ray, but close. But Rhoda was a force to be reckoned with, and we're all going to miss her terribly. The memorial service will be here in the morning, following by burial at the National Cemetery in Cave Creek. And then there'll be prayers here in the late afternoon. Are there any other people that have passed away that we didn't mention? Yes, Bonnie. May her memory be for a blessing. Anyone else? Okay, we join together on page 598 with the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma dibra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon u'b'chayei t'kol beit Yisrael ba'gala u'b'zman kariv v'yamru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach li'alam u'mei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpo'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalel v'yitalal shmei dekucha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata damiram bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and all humanity, to which we say, Amen. Please be seated. We now turn to the anthem, which this week is God of all creation, a poetic version of the El Adon, which is an 8th century rabbinic hymn composed in the 700s. Cantor.
Yeah, and the translation that I used, because I wrote this music, is on page 315. That's where they have a poetic version of it in English.
What page?
God of all creation, you are blessed with all souls' breath. Your greatness and your goodness fill the world. Knowledge and understanding surround your glory. Holiest are you among the holy. Seated in glorious splendor, radiating purity and justice, bestowing loving kindness, in knowledge and understanding. You created heavenly lights, giving them strength and power to bring light into the world. Full of splendor they radiate your brightness. The world is warmed by their flames. We rejoice in their comings and goings that reflect the will of their Creator. Glory and honor they give to you, and glowing praises to your rule. You call the sun, and it gives forth light. You set the patterns of the moon. You are honored throughout the heavens. Songs of glory and praise. Songs of glory and praise.
That was beautiful, Cantor. Thank you. Temple Beth Shalom is really very busy this time of year. We have the last of Rabbi Kaplan's adult education class on Tuesday morning from 10 to 11. Hot biblical topics. I understand the first two have been wonderful. If you would like to get in on the last session, give the temple a call on Monday and we'll get you the link. Then on Friday, April 8th, following Shabbat services, our own cantor is going to be doing his annual cantorial concert. So we ask you to come, stay, and listen to his beautiful music. He will be singing songs in Hebrew, Ladino, Yiddish, and English, and accompanying himself on piano and guitar. Sunday, April 10th, we're having a pet blessing. Rabbi Kaplan is going to do dogs at noon, and at 1 p.m., cats and any other pets you wish to have blessed. It's going to be around the menorah in the front of the temple. Registration with an RSVP is required by Wednesday, April 6th, so that any material will be enough to have for your pet's blessing. And there's a flyer out in the hallway which will tell you exactly what information they need to know. Then on Monday, April 11th, Sisterhood is going to have a women's Seder. I will be leading it for, I think, the 5th or 6th year. Reservations are required by April 4th, $18, and all women of the community are invited to attend. It'll be at noon. The temple is having a community Seder Friday evening, April 15th. There will be a very short Shabbat service at 5:30, and the Seder service will start at 6 p.m. Reservations are not final until you have paid in full, and our deadline is April 6th. The members are $35 a person, non-members $40, and children 7 to 15 of age are $17.50. Any questions, please feel free to see one of the temple trustees after the service. And finally, with Hadassah, we are sponsoring a Mahjong tournament and silent auction on Sunday, April 24th from 9 to 4 here in Temple Beth Shalom. It's going to be $45 a person, includes continental breakfast and lunch, and it should be a great afternoon for all of you who enjoy the game of Mahjong. So please Come participate, volunteer. We love to see you at the temple and get involved. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Just to clarify one thing, the April 15th Seder is going to be just a Seder. We're going to have some Shabbat elements, but there's no separate service. So when people come in, you'll be at tables right away, and we'll incorporate Shabbat into the Seder, but no separate service. Kiddush is next, and then the benediction, Tfilat HaDerech, and then we'll conclude our service for our streaming participants, and then go back to the Oneg. Cantor, we're ready?
We're ready. Please join us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho ahava u'ratzon higilanu zikaron ha'maseh b'reishit ki yom tehila lemikre kodesh zeiner l'tziyat Mitzrayim ki banu b'karta atanu kidashta Mikomim, B'Shabbat Kodshecha, B'Ahava U'V'Ratzon, Hinhaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Is it true that Lee gives me blackberry and you elderberry?
That's right, he's a detailist.
Wow. And do you think elderberry really is better than blackberry?
It's just my preference. It's not better. It's just preference. Personal.
Please rise for the benediction, and then we conclude with Tfilat HaDerech.
Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May you find God's presence within you always, and may you find peace, happiness, and love. And let us say,
Amen. May we be blessed as we go on our way. May we be guided in peace. May we be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. May we be sheltered by the wings of peace. May we be kept in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find their way to every soul. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Hoi, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam.